beginning to realize they have to be in this for the long haul. That every single one of these fights winds with the courts for years to come. They can end up in front of the Supreme Court. But in fact, many of the attorneys that they brought on to work with them are conservative attorneys. Intimate and kind of public you know, the need right now in them is they're going to need for the queer community to survive these next several years. It depends on your definition, I suppose. Under the law, I don't know that it qualifies as extortion, but it does have some of the same characteristics. What we're seeing here are, as Mr. Summers just said, what appear to be violations of the First Amendment. Academic freedom institutions are free to choose what they teach, who they hire, who they admit, so long as they do it in compliance with the law. And one of the things we're seeing here, in my opinion, is an effort by the Trump administration to get Harvard to come to its knees, to say enough, we give up, and to capitulate to these demands in this very us versus them world that Donald Trump seems to inhabit. The reason I think we are hearing the president of the university use words like arbitrary and capricious is that those are the words in the statute of the Administrative Procedure Act, which says the government may not act in an arbitrary or capricious fashion when it's making decisions that relate to any of the programs that receive benefits under the administrative law. So, for example, snatching away approval from students who are simply pulling away billions of dollars in grant monies is allegedly arbitrary and capricious. There's supposed to be a process, an opportunity to be heard, an opportunity of fair notice, and none of those things have been provided, which is why I think we're seeing these TROs across the board. Now, whether they'll prevail in the long term is a different question. It seems to me likely that they will, but in the meantime, if you can apply enough pain to a university like Harvard or others that don't have the same size of endowment, you may see them succumb just so that they can continue operations.
This may be a vague question, but one that I've been asking myself. I know that there are the endowments earmarked, they come with strings attached. I wonder in a moment of crisis like this, whether Harvard has a legal recourse to try to cut those strings on their endowment and use it to keep the university afloat, or use it where they feel like they need to keep the university functioning at the high level it currently is.
I don't think so. You know, most often what happens is people do gifts on a condition. And so, for example, say I want to provide scholarships to people interested in studying the law and pursuit of a career in prosecution. Those elements must be used for that purpose. They can't be used just for as a rainy day fund. That would be a violation of my state of the donor's wishes. So that's the reason that it's so difficult. You could say that they're money, but they can't just spend it all to reduce tuition or pay for student support or student loans and other kinds of things, because all of those dollars have to go where the donor earmarked for.
I wonder if we can call those donors right now and say, can we change the rules of this endowment? Can we use this money where necessary? I imagine they actually get a good hearing out from certain donors about that. Michael Bender, did they reporting on that? I saw your face.
They absolutely are. Harvard and Berkeley, Columbia, they're looking for any loopholes in their endowments, any donors they can keep on speed dial in case these other schools are targeted, and in the same way that Harvard has been. And one important thing to keep in mind here is that this is the administration is inflicting pain on Harvard, and Harvard is unique in academia, and they have by far the largest endowment in the country. And whether these assaults from the administration are right or wrong, I mean, even if Harvard wins both of these lawsuits and additional ones that are certain to come in the coming weeks and months, this will drain their resources, and it could leave, it could leave. This is why Harvard officials have been telling us privately that they are in an untenable crisis, whether they're right or wrong. And even if you believe Trump is wrong on every single one of these probes and inquiries and funding cuts, it is really doing a significant amount of damage to Harvard. And it's hard to argue right now why Trump would be in the right on this, because the administration has sort of refused to identify any specific problems beyond anti-Semitism. We know about the campus protests and damage and violence that was done, has been done over the last couple of years. But these new probes don't identify specific incidents or specific students. They ask for broad range of data. And in this latest lawsuit, when Harvard doesn't comply with every single one, the administration is using that to justify cutting billions of dollars from the school or to remove them from a very important student exchange program for not just Harvard, but for students across the world. And what has been, really one of the sources of great strength academically, politically, economically for America for a century.
All right, Michael Bender. Somebody else in Martin McQuaid, thank you. Sorry, don't say sorry. It's good. I wanted all that information. Martin McQuaid, thank you. And a reminder, you can watch Antonia as she co-hosts the Weekend Primetime every Saturday and Sunday from 6 p.m. to 9 p.m. Eastern right here on MSNBC. Coming up right now, President Trump is signing a series of executive orders having to do with nuclear energy regulation. We're monitoring that event. We'll bring you any news as it develops. Still ahead, though, what are Harvard's international students planning to do now? We've got one to talk to us, and he joins us after the break. Plus, what President Trump announced today that sent the stock market tumbling. And what was caught on surveillance video? The night 2 Israeli embassy staffers were shot and killed in Washington, D.C. We are back in 90 seconds.
NBA playoffs on Sirius XM. Second of the action all the way through the NBA Finals. It's and on the playoffs, get closer to the storylines that matter on NBA Radio, Channel 86. There are certain guys that you need to be a part of your roster. Listen to home and away broadcasts of every NBA playoff game on your radio and the Sirius XM app.
Tired of hearing scary radio ads on the IRS? Tax Relief Advocates is different. TRA is here to tell you that if you owe money to the IRS, whether it's $5,000 or $500,000, we have a solution. TRA can eliminate or reduce what you owe to the IRS with zero risk to you. If we can't reduce your tax debt, then you pay nothing. We have over 1,000 5-star reviews on Google and an A+ with a BBB. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or call 800-339-6832. That's 800-339-6832.
Talking to your kids about the dangers of vaping can be hard. Getting them to listen to our gossip is easy. So here's some drama you can share with your kid. David, did you hear about Cassie and Jake? No. But did you hear that vaping can cause irreversible lung damage and nicotine affects brain development? vaping. So if you want to get tips on when and how to talk to your kids, visit talkaboutVaping.org. Brought to you by the American Lung Association and the Ad Council.
Joining us now is Leo Guardian, a Swedish student currently enrolled at Harvard. Leo, thank you very much for joining us. Are you in the United States right now, or are you back in Sweden?
I am on campus. I am graduating next week, so I'm still here for commencement, even though most people are gone.
So you're going to be graduating in a week. Is this how we should apply to you? Are you trying to go to graduate school at Harvard? What's going to happen with your graduation process and your current admission?
Yeah. So hopefully I will be able to start with my diploma in media. So I really hope that everything goes
When you go to Harvard?
because America offered something that I could not find back in Sweden. A place like Harvard, which has been truly the best 4 years of my life. The type of people that you meet here, the professors that you meet, the community and the liberal arts education. It is really unique to America, and that was the reason that I came here. And that is also what is being attacked by now by the president of the United States. So that is why I decided to speak up, because I am protecting the values that were the reasons that I came here.
A lot of students come to Harvard to get a first-class education, but also to then stay and contribute to the American economy and the American brain, if you will. You're studying economics and government. What were you hoping to do? What are you hoping to do after you graduate?
Yeah, no, first of all, I think you're totally correct. In every classroom, in every lab, in every research center, there are international students and domestic students together hand in hand doing revolutionary stuff in this country. And they might not be able to do that starting from next semester because of all the uncertainty that the Trump administration is creating, or if their decision holds up in court. Personally, I hope to go back to Europe and hopefully do something in public service and in politics. I think especially in these couple of weeks have taught me that I can have a voice if I take it. And unfortunately, I think that a lot of what is happening in America comes to Europe with about a 5 to 10 year delay. So we might have to take a simple fight in a couple of years.
We're an early indicator. Do you feel comfortable? Have you felt comfortable speaking your mind and having free speech here in America over the past few months?
Definitely not, to be honest. I have been scared many times, and I decided about 6 weeks ago to write an op-ed in the student newspaper. After I was talking to so many other international friends who didn't want to post anything on social media, they didn't want to show up at a protest, or voice any criticism of the Trump administration, because we saw reports of students getting their visas revoked, student like Rubeza Osterk, who was snatched off the street and put in a detention center in Louisiana. So it really had a chilling effect. And I just decided that I couldn't be silent in this moment. Because if we start to sound silent, then we are on a very, very dangerous track in this country. And then everything with the battle between the White House and Harvard started, and I realized that I could have a role in this movement.
Fucking asshole.
A week from graduation, Leo Guardian, thank you very much for joining us, and congratulations on getting your degree. It is it's a weird moment. I'm sorry for that, but it's exciting to have made it. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you so much.
Coming up next, what President Trump just said about putting a tariff on Apple iPhones. How much could they cost? Coming up later, what HHS Secretary Robert F. Kennedy Jr. says is causing a health crisis, his word, among the nation's children.
Bill Secretary, with all the economic uncertainty these days, building a financial safety net for your family can be tough. But with term life insurance through Ethos, you can have peace of mind that no matter the market's ups and downs, your family's financial future is secure. Make sure they can pay mortgage, tuition, and other bills if something happens to you. With Ethos, you can get covered in as little as 10 minutes, 100% online. Ethos finds your best rate across their multiple trusted carriers, like a $500,000 10-year term life policy for a 40-year-old healthy, non-smoking male starting at just $1 a day or $30 a month. And you don't have to worry about rising costs. Even in uncertain times, your term life insurance rates and payout don't change. 3 million families have already completed their applications. They trust Ethos to find the right coverage for them, and so should you. For your free quote, visit MSNBC. That's ethos.com/MSNBC. Ethos.com/MSNBC.
Have you ever tried to sell a piece of jewelry? Or maybe even a nice watch? Insurance to a network of over we have over join 7 now for a limited time. SiriusXM listeners dollars when your item sells for over $1,500 when you sign up at worthy.com/offer. Again, that's worthy.com/OFFER.
They may take advantage of us. And, the people behind me know because they have some of that with their industry. But generally, we signed a great deal with the United Kingdom. We have numerous other deals that are ready to be signed. We've signed a deal with China. We have some really amazing deals. But the European Union, I mean, the sole purpose was really to
If your iPhone's in the US with a 25% tariff,
it would be more, it would be also Samsung and anybody that makes that product, otherwise it wouldn't be fair. So anybody that makes that product, and that'll start, I guess, at the end of June, it's come out, I think we have that appropriately done by the end of June. So if they make that product, now, again, when they build their plant here, there's no tariff. So they're gonna be building plants here. But I had an understanding with Jim that he would be doing this. He said he's going to India to build plants. I said, that's okay to go to India, but you're not gonna sell it to you without tariff. And that's the way it is, yeah. They can. A lot of it's so computerized now. These plants are amazing if you look at them, but they can do that. And actually, as you know, Apple's coming in with $500 billion. So are the chip companies. We have all of the chip companies coming in. The biggest $500 billion, $200 billion, $250 billion is spending. But we're talking about the iPhone now. And, the iPhone, if they're going to sell it in America, I want it to be built in the United States. They're able to do that.
that it is US companies that bear the brunt of tariffs, not
Sometimes the country will lead it, sometimes Walmart will lead it, sometimes it'll be something to pay something extra. I've always been a fan and I've always believed it. If you look, take a look at what I did 4 years ago with the greatest economy, and we had no inflation. Remember that we had no inflation, and yet we had hundreds of millions of dollars of tariffs that I put on China. Yet we had no inflation, we had no big cost differential. Oftentimes, and I don't like it when a department store gets up to a lot of business, but they announce record profits and everything else. They have to take out some of their profits and make a little bit less money. But I don't want the consumer to pay.
why impose tariffs that you know are hurting American businesses?
They're not hurting, they're helping because they're creating jobs in America. We're creating tremendous amounts of jobs in America like you've never seen. We're having investment in America. We're not getting ripped off by every country in people the jobs they make it with other countries' jobs. And we will have something that nobody will ever see again. I think we have a potential to do numbers that we never envisioned in the world. As you look at what's happening, 10 to 12 trillion dollars in literally a couple of months. It's nothing like this ever happened. It's a very special. We're doing a very special thing. We want, if they're going to sell it here, generally speaking, not for all products. There's some products we don't want to make. And frankly, we're much better off getting them elsewhere. But for certain products, we want cars. We want to make cars. We don't want to have, and I like Canada very much, but we don't want to have Canada making it. Yes, we want to make it. It's only a congressman. They're all congratulating us. Yeah, it's lucky it is. Okay, that's good.
Are you considering stopping other universities besides Harvard from accepting foreign
Well, we're taking a look at a lot of things, and as you know, billions of dollars has been paid to Harvard. How ridiculous is that? Billions. And they have $52 billion as an endowment. They have $52 billion. And this country's paying billions and billions of dollars, and then gives student loans and have to pay back the loans. So Harvard's going to have to change its ways.
Why is it? Why is it? A lot of CEOs in the United States, big companies, are foreign. What is that going to do?
No, we want to do that. We're actually going to be doing something in the near future that's going to make it possible for people to come into this country and come in and, have a road toward citizenship. And I think it'll be very exciting, but it's too soon. I do, but a lot of the people need remedial math. Did you see that? Where the students can't add 2 and 2, and they go to Harvard. They want remedial math, and they're going to teach remedial math at Harvard. Wait a minute. So why would they get in? How can somebody that can't add has very basic skills? How do they get into Harvard? Why are they there? And then you see the same people picketing and screaming at the United States and screaming at they're anti-Semitic or there's something. We don't want troublemakers here. But how do people that can't, when Harvard comes out with a statement that they're going to teach some of their students remedial math, that's basic math, that's not the deal. Okay.
are considering shortening the 90-day pause on terrorist support, and then other specific steps you're looking for.
We have a lot of requests. You don't have the people to handle it, frankly. Everybody wants to make a deal. I'm sure now the European Union wants to make a deal very badly, but they just they don't do it right. They don't go about it right. The other thing they do is they sue our companies all the time. They have suits where their judges, I don't know if they're appointed by them, but they're definitely Europe-centric, and we're not going to stand for it. They won a $17 billion lawsuit for Apple, and I read that case, and that's not a case that should have been won. And they're suing other. They use this as a weapon, but if they use it really to raise funds for what they do, it's almost like a fundraising mechanism. So we add them to the fact that they do the non-monetary tariffs and lots of other trading. We call them trading barriers. They don't take our cars. They don't take our agriculture. They don't take anything, but we take their cars by the millions. And therefore, they have the jobs, they get the money, and we get close plans. It's not going to happen that way.
Thank you.
Listening to President Trump there in the Oval Office as he has launched a 50% tariff threat on the EU and a 25% tariff threat very specifically on Apple, apparently having a beef right now with his top officials in his administration that Apple should come. Of course, experts say that would make an iPhone cost somewhere about $3,500, which love it. That,
I know.
be a little steep, but you know, on that front, you know, we've seen over the years from Apple who said the logistic the very least to get the pot on the EU, apparently. But we've got CNN Jeff Zeleny who's with us. I know you were listening in on that, taking questions as he often does. Executive order signing. What stood out to you?
Well, if President Trump was in the Oval Office signing a couple more executive orders on nuclear power, but of course took other questions. And I think to the point there, Omar, you were just making about President Trump saying he's not looking for a deal, the 50% tariff threat against the EU will stand. Well, I think there's to show that that simply is not the case. It's clearly a negotiating tactic. Those 145% were going to stand until they weren't. So the bottom line of the president, but interesting, to your point about how the president also said there that he would Samsung and some other competitors in the list of a tariffs, otherwise it would not be fair. And he said incorrectly that the iPhones can be made in the U.S. And that's simply experts and industry officials have said it's simply not possible at the price point that they are, or that people would be willing to pay there. But a variety of things. The president also talking about Harvard specifically. He said that Harvard needs to change the way it does business, and also suggested that other universities could also fall under this new administration policy of effectively trying to expel international students. So the president making these remarks, he's scheduled to go to Bedminster, his golf course in New Jersey, for a long weekend here shortly.
He really has, Jeff, a beef with Harvard, trying to highlight a remedial math class that they have. I looked, that's something that's been reported, I think, by the New York Post. We should be clear, I don't think all students at Harvard, I think we can say categorically they're not taking a remedial math, but this is a long-going beef that he's had with the university.
It absolutely is. I mean, it started with the freeze of $2 billion in federal funding. It continued to curriculum issues, and now this, of course. He has made or sought to make an example of Harvard. One of the reasons is because Harvard has what they have. A broader view, but he does like Ivy League graduating as well. So we will see where this goes. Order against the administrations and just more legal for us.
Are you like millions of Americans who avoided because you're afraid you'll owe the IRS thousands of dollars? Well, you don't need to be afraid anymore. Solution. We can file your back tax years and may be able to reduce or even eliminate what you owe. With over 1,000 five-star reviews on Google and an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, we've helped over 100,000 Americans just like you permanently and painlessly resolve their IRS debt. A resolution specialist is waiting to speak to you now, who will let you know what tax debt reduction you may qualify for. Don't wait. End your tax nightmare today by visiting TRA.com or
Geese on some of it, you. Can't take for 3 fucking years. Hey, baby. How's it good? How you doing?
Good.
Much better now.
We just have to go to the bank. We have to go to the store. We just have to go to the bank.
Okay. I tried to call Frankie again. There's a busy thing. I'm right by there. We go.
Maybe he took the week off.
Yeah, maybe just sick.
Maybe he took the holiday off, the whole week, and he just leaves it to where
I'm glad I got off early. Mailbox
uh,
was I just
yeah, beat it and beat it and beat it down, I hope it holds. Don't know if it would be good to put a little bit of water on it and let it start taking up,
Yeah.
or would it be better to let the rain, because the rain will probably just
Rain will do it.
wash it away. Get to call the county extension office.
Right back.
That's why they get along. Damn things.
They got no money. Much building and construction getting done around the county. They ain't done nothing. You can't get no money. There's a reason for that. They built over on BC Grand, built 4 houses in a row. They put a whole new apartment complex there.
Dimmer.
Dollar General there.
Still act like a cake and no cake.
Yeah, they can't get no cash. So far.
A lot of times because I work so much outside. Swept the patio, been working on the hedge down there. Cut down some of the bushes along the hedge down in front of the wall on the left hand side, right hand side if you're standing in front of it. Trimming around the acres. Areas. The whole lot. So sick. I have thrown up so much. I'm weak. Honey, when was the last time you ate and stayed? Makes me sick. It seems like they wouldn't put her on mornings. They put her in the evening. I am sick. Able to cut up lettuce. I had a manager now. I'm standing at the trash can, and she threw up so much, it's just bile, green, it's all. And she said, she's telling me to cut up the lettuce. She said, hello, hello, I'm sick.
Yeah.
She didn't call them idiots. She
Yeah.
said, I am sick. I'm not making this up. She said she was off today. She slept all day. She said she woke up a couple times. She would sit up and would feel like she was going to throw up. So she said, nope, not today. She laid back there. Laid back there. She talked to me. Like I said, no, not yet. Way to the beach.
Yeah.
Some of them live.
Right. Working. Pretty sharp.
No.
He's nice. I didn't tell the girl that they had liver. Tell him what I didn't tell him.
Is that gonna cause a problem?
I don't think so. frustrated. Get the door down there. Frustrated. When you do, call me. Don't wait till you get so bad where you're walking out of here.
Fine, just call me. I can get with Mr. Brown, y'all. We can all get together. We'll figure out something. But if you walk out, you gotta help nobody. 'Cause that's not bad money to start. What is it, 27,000? 32 or
When I started, they could be 30 or something.
Y'all did much better than me when I started. I only made 18. 18,000, but I come in as a clerk.
Right.
I don't make much money as a clerk. Almost. People were driving through here way too fast. Trying to beat people to get to the damn machine. I'm like, it's just a machine. Yeah. I'm gonna put in 100, get out 260. I'll put in 100. They open, or did they close? No, there's somebody in there.
260.
260, please. Gotta have to buy some groceries. Get the chance, will you count it and make sure that it's 100? There you go. Yeah. Yeah. I got 117 I can buy groceries. Here we go.
Right.
I think he's probably took the whole week off or something. Like you said, death and thing. He might have got sick. But you wondered, doesn't he have help? Does he have on and on?
What's the matter?
Cracking his pants. He's window. But he's a painter. I think we're gonna do pizza. Just gonna do burger, a little bit of veggies, not a whole lot. I just think sometimes I got too many veggies on there.
Thank you.
You too, guys. 200. I'm trying to get prepared for that $900 that's gonna come out. I hate that it went up that much. I mean, you know, that's a lot.
How much what it was
It
before?
used to be 8 something,
Yeah.
955.
I'll start.
Oh, no, I'm not asking you that. I'm just talking to you. Appreciate it. Let me see who this is. Probably a weather. Oh, it's a message. Probably Katie Gray. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Oh. It's a Pixar movie. She wants me to watch. It's called The Prince of Egypt. She doesn't know. It's her favorite movie. It's a animated, right?
Yeah.
I'm gonna find it, buy the DVD. That's gonna be one of the baby's first gifts. It's great, ain't it?
And he had great.
Ford is
It's
good.
a Ford Mustang.
Look at him with his purple hair coming out of his.
When Dodge did that, remember Chargers back in the 70s?
Yeah, Dodge, not the Ford.
Yeah, that was a Mustang.
Yeah, that. Freaking music. Green. There's a green thing. What's it? A yard. State yard sale. Something. Church. Lakemont, I think it's. Yeah, it was big and then it got smaller and smaller and still had this much sign left. Smaller. Look like nobody's home. We need to ask him if he's got a different number. Maybe we can go in here. I just didn't want him to have no trouble getting that. What'd he say?
Uh,
What'd he say?
Windstream's got him all messed up.
Oh, okay.
He said it's terrible. I just stand there and listen to him. I said, well, you're preaching to the choir. I said, we had him. It was awful. Yeah, we don't have no more. Call, you can't talk to nobody. He told me that my number had been ported off somewhere else. Call this number, and I called. And I said, well, we just do sales. We don't do service. And he said, but he never did talk to a person. That's what the machine just kept telling him.
Well, is he gonna pick it up?
Yeah, he said he'd pick it up. He said he couldn't do it today, but it'd be one day. He'll probably get it. He said, man, I said, did you get a new number? Crank up. He got me up. He said, no, Windstream got me all messed up. That's where you're preaching to the choir now. He does good work. You don't charge all that.
Dependable.
Fiber optics.
I'm just trying to get to the house before I fly.
Somebody didn't know he didn't have a phone.
Okay.
Somebody else told
Figured out something's wrong. Still got 2 hours, 2.5 hours before we have.
but it's one of some
Wonder if they would want to pick up. At like 5, like 1 in the house, 4 outside. Years. I know. I've been struggling. My eyes been bored. My nose has been running. Anyway.
fries for him. She knew he was going to go pick up food, but his wife, whatever what he needed to do, he's well, serve food at the fire department. And he ended up alive because he heard him on the phone. He was going to pick up food because he wanted her, and she wanted him to, help down there. Of course, she said yes. He didn't get back to about 1 o'clock. He goes, I'm back to the fire department.
Yeah, he ate all day.
Well, then he disappeared again. He's gone.
Then he left it to me.
Yeah, he left. He was brought down.
Can't follow through.
No, I mean,
Say whatever.
no, but I mean, I'm not, I can't, that he knows I can't do.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying.
Contract, if it's a contract, it's on them. Why am I paying a service call? You know,
I got a contract. Y'all should be fixing this. Every time you come, you don't fix it. I gotta pay more.
it's been in the last month, been out there twice now, it's been there a third time in a month.
These bastards.
Yeah, third time in a month that I ain't paying it. I mean, I'll pay this one.
I wouldn't do it either.
I'll pay it.
Carefully, because that one's Trump man and he's really mean.
I'll tell them we'll just shut it down. It'd be cheaper for us to print shit on a regular printer. The ink is cheaper than paying for the service cost. You know? That's what I thought.
The guy on that one that's the Trump,
Green.
let it go. He's the kind that would sit down, dog. You know? I think she's coming yet. I put our flag out.
Got a clean eye right here.
Sit down with Jerry.
I didn't cut that man, that's mimosa down 2 or 3 times.